broad strokes by a clueless hand. Misunderstood, misquoted, and left in the dark.
Thank you so much for tuning into Horrible People Podcast. I'm Jen McDonald, and the horrible person that I am speaking with today is Dana Dykema. Dana is a mom, a teacher, a hunter, and she is the advocacy coordinator for Blood Origins Canada. So super exciting.
Thanks for having me on, Jen.
Yes, definitely. I'm so happy to finally have you on here. I guess just to get us started, would you mind like kind of telling us a bit about like what your day-to-day looks like and just what you do as a whole?
Yeah. Well, like you said, I'm Dana Dykema. I live in North Vancouver here in BC with my family. We're almost 20 years married, my husband and I, in a couple weeks here. So that's a huge milestone, obviously. And we have 4 kids. Most of them are teenagers now, which is insane. I turned around and my eldest is almost 18 and he's 6'7". So I'm literally looking up at him like, how did this happen?
I've seen pictures on your socials and I'm like, oh my God, her son is so tall.
Yeah, he's massive. People just look at it like they just stare at him, or, if we're at a gas station or something, we've had little kids just come up to him and be like, how tall are you? Or just, he gets told like every day, like, dude, you're tall.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Realize.
Yeah, thanks. So he is very tall, which is really fun. He's definitely not my little boy anymore, but in the physical sense. But he is going to be graduating, and he's going to be, at least in pencil, the plan is he is going to Kansas on a baseball scholarship. So we're very excited and proud of him. We've already suddenly hit this big milestone moment as a family where kids start to move out and launch from the nest, which is great and sad all at the same time. But so we're just enjoying.
Like a crazy different, change to your life.
Oh yeah, and the other kids already have plans for his room and what it's going to be like when he's gone. But it's already, I've also overheard them sort of having conversation with him of like, yeah, it's going to be really weird when you're gone, and I'm going to miss you and things like that. So it's been sweet in those moments too. So
that's beautiful. It's nice to see that you have such a nice relationship like that.
I know. I hope they keep it up. I'm not really close with my sister, and my husband's not very close with his sister. Okay. So I hope that ours really stay connected as they get older, but we shall see. But yeah, the others are, my daughter just had her 16th birthday, and we went straight to the DMV and got her license, because that's very important to her. Definitely. To drive. And then I have a 14-year-old and my 12-year-old who I homeschool. I have homeschooled them all before at various stages of their life when they were smaller. And now, it's just me and Isaac right now.
Oh, okay. So they're not all homeschooled.
Not currently. They were
nice at one point.
Yeah, at one point. And then, Daniel, my eldest, he's just a social guy. He's my extrovert. And after 2 years, he was like, Mom, I really want to go back to school because I miss my friends. Okay. So, he went back, and we just navigate the public school system with each kid, with the different things that we find challenging or annoying. Yeah.
That's what kind of stresses me out a little bit. We're, expecting in July, and I'm just like, oh my God, the public school systems just seem so scary right now, depending on where you are, of course. And sorry, so what's your youngest's name that is being homeschooled?
Isaac.
Okay, perfect. I thought so. I was like, was that the oldest?
Yeah. So it's just me and Isaac at the moment. And so we are just doing our own thing. There's different ways to homeschool in BC. We actually have a ton of freedom, which is really weird because there's so many restrictions in other areas of life for homeschooling. They, you can enroll, which is you are signed up with an online school and you're paired up with a teacher, and you sort of continue on with the provincial curriculum at your own pace with your teacher, and your teacher will help keep you accountable. They'll give you resources, and you'll have monthly check-ins or more, and you'll be weekly sending them videos or pictures of what you're doing, what you're up to, and then they sort of fill in the blanks that way. Okay. So I thought I wanted to do that until I did it, and then I'm like, I hate this. I hate feeling like I have to tick somebody's boxes, and we don't want to learn about the rock cycle right now or whatever. And doing it that way, I realized how disjointed the system is and the curriculum, really they don't build on each other from year to year. So when my kids did decide to go back into school, they didn't really miss a beat.
Okay.
Because there's nothing to build off of from the year before. Like there is in math and English, but social studies, science, it's like random stuff that they learn
Easy
each
follow
year.
through. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So now we're not enrolled. So, and with enrollment, you also get some funding from the government. You have like $600 to put towards, swimming lessons or music lessons or school supplies or whatever.
Okay. And that's like for the school year, I assume, per child?
Okay. And now we're just registered. So we're still registered with an online school, but we've just basically told the government, peace out. We're registered. And you have no idea. We're doing what we're doing. So I say that we're life schooling. We're not really homeschooling. I'm a really distracted person. So being at home is just, I can't really focus a lot of the time if there's dishes that need to be done, if there's laundry. My house is never, ever clean, but there's always something to do. And so I get stressed out by the clutter of our house, which is why I like to go outside. So I don't have to look at it. And I feel like we're learning a lot as we go outside, and we're noticing the different things that are happening outside. And we usually see a special something. Like last time we went around our local lake here and we saw a mama and a fawn blacktail.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
It was really amazing just to be able to take a few minutes and watch them do their thing. And they're looking at us. They didn't seem worried at all. So things like that.
Cool. I think that's so important for them to, develop as a person. Like, and that's really, really what matters once you get out into the real world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now he's 12, and when we go out in public settings and stuff, I'm sort of pushing him more to be his own advocate. Like, cool. I'm not going to order your food for you, so you go up to the counter, or if we're at the library and you need help, well, you go to the library and you ask for help. Or if we're at Canadian Tire and you're looking for something, go find a staff and you guys figure it out, and I'll just hang back. So he's doing it, and
that's ask those questions. And
have
those interactions.
Yeah, because kids are weird, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to do it." You go ask them. I'm like, "You are old enough. You can do this." Like, I grew up. My parents divorced when I was about 5, and my mom worked full time. Lived with her most of my growing up, and I'd see Dad on weekends. But like when we needed to rent a place, I remember looking at the newspaper, and I was the one phoning at 12 years old.
Wow.
Asking about what are the utilities? Didn't you allow cats?
That's amazing.
I found our place when I was 12 that we lived in for 4 years, and our landlady always told that story.
Jeez,
little voice on the other
end. So
end.
Cool.
But that was just how, because Mom was busy, so I had to do it, and that was just normal for me. So now, like my kids, even now, I'm like, you should be doing so much more, because
be independent and like yeah. Because I mean, for you obviously had to like grow up quickly and figure things out fast.
Mm-hmm.
No, 100%. And it's funny that you say, like the clutter and everything in your house, like if there's dishes to be done, that's a distractor. Cause like, I'm so bad for that. I'll be like, oh my gosh, like there's dishes, or I should be doing this or that. And I feel like I'm ping ponging all over. So like you said, at least when I go outside, it's out of sight, out of mind. And I'm still being like productive and doing something that I think I'm like, okay, at least I'm keeping busy this way and not worrying about the 55 things that need to be done around the house.
Yeah. And I wouldn't, people often ask me like, oh, did you go to school to be a teacher? No, but did you go to school to, teach your child how to walk or crawl or talk? Like we're constantly teaching them. And when there's now we're getting into grade 8 next year. So now I'm not sure what we're doing, because I feel like we're getting into the big time now, and my kids have all gone back for grade 8 and Isaac doesn't want to. So ultimately it's our decision, but the other 3 are quite sporty as well. So they wanted to go for that part of school.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But he's not super sporty. So he likes being at home with me.
Yeah.
But I just always feel, and I think that's just constant, whether you're a homeschool mom or not, just the mom guilt of like, you just feel like you're not doing enough. But now that he's getting to be older, I'm like, oh, I really feel like I don't know if I'm doing enough for you. So that is a bridge we need to cross very soon. Yeah. So if we are going to enroll him at to school with my other ones, then it's like kind of now for this next school year. You got to really think ahead. So yeah, it's getting down to crunch time. Got to figure out what we're going to do. But
okay. And would he definitely go back for like grade 9, or could that still be an option for him to stay home like right through high school?
He could.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I feel like my older two are very self-motivated. If they wanted to homeschool themselves, I'd be like, yeah, totally. You could do it all just with very little help from me. Where my younger two they need a kick in the butt every day to get up and get going, because they would happily just, like, now Isaac's getting into reading, which is a really positive thing. And all of my kids have hit this stage at different times, but like my younger two were not interested in reading for the longest time. Like now even Isaac is 12. He just was like, I'll read, Garfield comic books or Calvin and Hobbes, which is fine. You're reading. But there was finally a time where that light bulb went off in his head, and he's devouring books now. A lot of books about World War II.
Oh, wow.
A lot of stories like that. So
good for him.
He made it. So like that's a milestone that I always look for. And I'm so happy when that happens. And often at the beginning, just happy for them to just read and read and read, because they're learning so much that way.
100%. Yeah, I think reading is so good for you. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any like resources that would be available to you to like get them through grade 8 or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Or are you kind of on your own there? Okay.
There's so many resources. And now like for yourself, if you're thinking, I know, like your baby's still growing in the womb, there's a lot of time. But like I started with them all at home. Daniel didn't do kindergarten. I don't know how it is in other provinces, but kindergarten is not mandatory in BC.
Yeah, I believe it's mandatory here, but I do know that like a lot of provinces, it's absolutely not. And I could be very wrong. Like maybe it's not mandatory here either.
Mm-hmm. So like for us, I was like, well, Isaac was born in November. They were all in 5.5 years. So they're all pretty close together.
Okay.
But I kind of wish I had just stuck with it. But that mom guilt or that fear of not doing enough, it starts right at the beginning. And even parents who I talk to that have littles, they're like, oh, I just don't think I could do it. I'm like, your kid is 5. All they need to know is like ABCs and their colors and like 1 to 20. And they probably already know that. So it starts really slowly. So I always advocate for homeschooling if people can swing it. There's so many resources, and there's often great communities. Not really where I am, but in other places, there's really great communities.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you mean like obviously like great local communities, then not just like social media. I'm sure there's a ton of social media groups. So
co-ops often
cool.
There used to be here, and now a lot of those, like, I don't know, seasoned homeschool moms, the families have moved away, or the kids are older now, and so the dynamics have just changed in my area anyway. So there's still a bunch that sort of trying to keep things together, and I'm also really picky. It becomes like dating, if the moms don't match or the kids don't really match, then it's like, well, it's great to meet you, but I don't think this is going to work out.
Yeah, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time together.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's just lots of variables as they get older, but I highly recommend it, especially with public school as it is in elementary. Yeah. I was like, yeah, we're done. We had some issues with the public school in elementary, and I was very glad to get out of there.
Okay. Yeah, I bet. Honestly, like I don't know. You see the craziness on social media, in the news, all that. I'm just like, oh my God, what is happening out there?
Yeah. Well, we went through the whole woke agenda, like hard over here.
Really?
So I just didn't want to.
That's crappy.
Yeah, it was tough. And I live in a pretty liberal area, and I'm not.
Okay. So, I just assumed you were in a conservative area.
No. So as a more conservative Christian and now a hunter, like I am definitely in the minority. So there's lots of
very rough.
But now that I kind of have been through this trial by fire with the whole drag queen story hour fiasco that happened at our school in 2019.
No.
Yeah, that was crazy. But I learned a lot and realized, like, if you stick to your guns on, how you feel about certain thing, especially with kids, then now, like, when people have issues with me being a hunter or whatever, then I'm like, okay, I can handle this.
Who cares?
You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
let's go. If you want to tango, let's do it, because I've been through it with other things, and
your facts will trump their, feelings.
Yeah,
Any day when it comes
very
to
strong
hunting.
feelings, but
Does
which is
your
fine.
husband hunt also?
Yeah, he actually started. So he grew up in Salmon Arm in the Okanagan here on a chicken farm. His dad was a chicken farmer for 30 years, but they did not hunt. He comes from a Dutch background. There's no hunting. They were all farmers. And then in 2020, 2019 into 2020, he got his licenses, and he finished up his core test just before COVID got really weird.
Okay.
And
Good.
then, so I was very happy for him to do all that stuff. Like, food is really important to me and where my food comes from, but I was happy for him to do that side of things. And I would cook. And then, but I had a business, and through COVID, I discovered regenerative farming and, no-till, no spray produce.
Awesome. Okay.
And I took an online gardening course. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Littlest Big Farm.
No.
Or is it The Biggest Little Farm? I always get them confused. You got to write that down because it's such a good movie.
Yeah. I feel like the name The Biggest Little Farm is familiar.
Yeah.
But
We've
definitely not seen it.
We've seen it so many times. I still get the title wrong, but it's either The Biggest Little or The Littlest Big.
Google will figure it out for me.
Yeah. But that movie was so inspiring, and like, you watch it and you want to move to a plot of land somewhere and just grow all your own food and live in harmony with nature.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already there.
Yeah, you're already there. So, but it just gives
wanting
you
to.
Yeah, especially with the way that as you learn more about our food systems and what is applied onto our crops, you just don't want anything to do with it. So in taking this online course and learning about regenerative farming, which is basically, not tilling the soil and using compost and learning about worms and all kinds of, and seasonal eating and all of that, I met, the two guys that were running the course were farmers in Chilliwack here, which is about an hour and a half from where I live. And I went out to meet them. And then I was like, hey, you guys offer such a great service and so they have a 30-acre farm over there, and I wanted their food over here in North Van. So I created this business called Valley to Shore. And so I would go out every week and pick up pre-orders at their farm and other farms. And I connected with lots of other farmers, picking up eggs, picking up bacon and meat and
oh my God, that's so
seasonal
cool.
mushrooms, the morels and the nettles and everything that you love to do too.
Yeah.
All the foraging. And I would bring all of that stuff back to North Van for my customers to pick up. And then I'd educate about seasonal eating and all that stuff. And it was great.
Oh, that sounds like such an amazing business. Like, I'm sure so many people benefited from that. And it's like clean eating, and you're supporting,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were doing it before it was cool like it is now.
True. Yeah, I guess
everybody's on the bandwagon now because the media said jump. So everybody's jumping.
Yeah.
And
yes,
it's always been important to support Canadian. But yes, through Valley to Shore, I was invited to an event where I met a guy who is the chair for my local backcountry hunters and anglers group.
Okay.
And you guys don't have that in Ontario. You don't have BHA, hey?
No,
I think it's just a BC thing. So it's really big in America.
Okay.
But BC has backcountry hunters and anglers groups in there's 8 different regions of BC, and each one has its own chapter. So BHA advocates for conservation, community, and hunting. And so I went to these BHA meetings and met other people they were all hunters. And through that community, then I was like, wow, these people are so cool. They really care about the environment and conservation and working hard for their food in hunting. And that looks pretty cool. And I think I want to do it too.
I love that. Amazing. Okay.
So then, last December 23, I went and got my my gun license. And then I think it's January or February, I went and got my core. And then I was like, wow, I did it. Got my licenses. ready to
That's
go.
so exciting. And then you just feel so much better because you have that access to like a little bit more self-sufficiency.
But living in the city, like it's hard to get out to where the wild things are, where the critters are. So, and then having 4 kids at home, it's like my husband doesn't really cook. So if I leave, it's a big deal. And if we both leave, which is the best case scenario, then I got to pull in a grandparent somewhere.
Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough. For sure. So have you been able to get out on many hunts since getting your hunting license?
No, we've been on a few. So like last June in 24, my husband and I, we had 2 nights and 3 days to work with to go for spring bear.
Oh, cool.
And on the first day we were successful, which was really exciting. Through my business, again, I met these ranchers that I buy my beef from them a couple times a year, and they have a big ranch and a campground. So Jeb and I, my husband's name is Jeb, we decided to go out that way, Boston Bar area. It's a good 3-hour drive, and we had our trailer with us. And I was like, let's just drop our trailer at Rob's place at the campground, and then we'll just drive around and see if we can see any sign anywhere.
Yeah.
And we met up with Rob, and he's like, well, feel free to use our Forest Service roads on the property, where they start and then go up into the bush. But we've also had a cinnamon and a couple black bears in the back fields. So feel free to set up there. And we saw no sign all day long looking, and then decided we'll see if there's any sign in the back fields. And there was. So we just sat for 3 hours, and it was like 33 degrees. It was a super hot June day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I just said to Jeb, like, I just want to see some fuzzy ears. And then a few minutes later, we did.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was looking and looking. I'm like, I really want to see, like, I want to see something. We definitely saw a couple stump bears as we're looking. They seem to turn up all the time. When you're looking, you're like, oh, that's not a bear. That's just a stump.
Oh, yes. Okay. 100%.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden, Jeb was like, bear. And we look over, and yeah, there's this big black bear ambling down the back path. And so he sets up his gun, and I had my fingers in my ears, and I'm waiting. And I'm like, oh shoot, maybe he lost her. And I take my fingers out of my ears, which is exactly when he pulls the trigger.
Always.
So yeah, that was just the noise and the ringing in my ears, but it doesn't last very long. And
then your adrenaline's going because you just harvested a bear.
Yeah, like I'm like, what happened? Because I missed it all. He had gone up the hill that I was leaning on, and so I couldn't see anything. But he's like, yeah, it dropped right away. I think it's dead. And so we waited about half an hour and didn't see any movement. And it was a sow, but there was no cubs around, obviously. And then we got to work after that.
Awesome. Did you guys do all of the processing yourself? Like
we field dressed.
Okay.
We field dressed there. He had got a couple of whitetails at his parents' farm over the previous couple of years. So I was like, do you know what you're doing if we get anything? He's like, oh yeah, I'm sure it'll be very similar. But I had to run back to camp because we didn't expect to get anything the first afternoon. So we didn't have, there was a few things that we were missing. I had to run, it was probably 2 kilometers back to camp. And I had to run back. And when I got back to him and the bear, he had his phone propped up on our belly. We still had signal. So he was YouTubing how to field dress a bear.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That is exactly how I figure out how to field dress anything or do anything. I'm just like, all right, YouTube. Yeah. And that it was good. We had service because in most of the places we go, we don't. But yeah, we field dressed and quartered her there. And the hide is still in my freezer. Still something I got to deal with, but we did bring the meat into a butcher. Okay.
Next time though, we want to do it ourselves.
Yeah, it's just a lot of work, and you need
a ton of work.
The room and the equipment. Yeah, it's definitely a project. Does the whole family eat bear fine? I know some people are a little bit like iffy about bear.
Yeah, now like our friend that Jeb went spring bear hunting with the year prior, he did get a bear as well, and we ate the heart that night. And so kids were kind of like, well, this is different, but cool. And we all had some. And so we got half of our bear turned into half sausages, half ground. They can always tell when we're having bear, even though I hide it like 2-to-1 in beef for burgers or spaghetti sauce or something. I don't know. They say it tastes fishy, which is weird because she was a spring bear inland, but apparently their fat can go rancid over time, even in the freezer.
Oh, okay.
So
I
then
didn't
it
know
can
that.
taste kind of off. So I don't know, but next time
It's fine.
next time we're going to do it ourselves. We're going to process it and vacuum seal it. We have a vacuum sealer. We have the knives. We have a big kitchen table, so we can do it. But like, have you done a lot of your own processing, or do you take it in?
Yeah, like I only do my own now.
Okay.
The first deer I harvested, I brought it in to get it done. And then afterwards, the guy was like kind of showing me around. And I was just like, I think I just want to do this on my own from now on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've just been doing it myself. Deer, turkey, goose, duck, anything like that. And a bear is definitely like a bucket list hunt for me. We don't have bears specifically where I am. I'd have to travel like a tiny bit. So once I harvest my first bear, yeah, I'll definitely be processing them myself. It's so much nicer, and you get what you want. And just like the food thing, like, what's happening with your food.
Yeah.
So it's a lot nicer that way. Have your kids gone hunting at all yet, or that's kind of a future thing?
Yep. Daniel's been a couple times. So that's my eldest. He got his first whitetail this November.
Oh, exciting.
So that was really cool. We took that deer, and usually the first deer we get turned into pepperoni to share.
Love
A
it.
lot of his friends, like none of his friends hunt or have anything really to do with, all of his friends are the jocks at school.
Okay.
Wrestling and
you guys
football
live
and
in
baseball.
like a more urban area, right? So I guess
Yeah.
they wouldn't even be
Yeah. So the
exposed
fact
to
that he does this is really unique in his friend group. So he was excited to be able to share his deer with them, and they love it. So they think that he's even cooler for that.
That is so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, and it's nice because I feel like the younger generation is more exciting about the wild game and like
Mhm.
getting into being, more self-sufficient in the hunting. So it's better received than, other generations for the most part, usually.
Yeah, they all want to get their pal, and I was trying to set that up with
Good.
Travis from Silvercore, but they also do a ton of sports. So then, I was like, actually, you guys don't have time to do this, or at least you'll have to figure out a time on your own, because I can't get a big group together with all of your schedules. It's just too crazy.
Coordinating all of that would be absolutely insane, but amazing that they want to do it. Like, I really hope they follow through with that.
Yeah, one of our local gun stores here, Reliable Gun, they put on My First Day at the Range events at different gun clubs in the Lower Mainland here.
Oh, good.
So it's a great opportunity for kids to come. Nobody needs their pal, and they get one-on-one mentorship from other members of that range, or guys from Reliable will come out, or Silvercore guys have come out.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Just to support the program. And so my kids have been at a number of those now. And so if there's more this summer, I'll see if Daniel and his friends can make those events, just to give them the opportunity, right? So
absolutely.
It's been really, really neat. And different kinds of guns, handguns, different rifles.
Oh, I bet that's so nice. It's nice to see more and more like community range days popping up, because the general public is kind of so, either adverse to it or just confused and curious about it. And it gives them the opportunity to just like, listen, go out and try it. Like, don't be intimidated. Yeah. We're all pretty decent people.
I know. Yeah. I think hunting, it seems amazing how quickly hunting went from like very normal staple occupation to horrible. You're a horrible person.
You are
if you do that
person. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just crazy. I mean, like my primary job with CS AAA, everyone I deal with hunts, shoots, or at least respects the sport.
Mm-hmm.
But if I deal with people like in the general public, if they ask, what do you do? And I tell them, I very often get that like weird kind of look, like, oh, really? I'm like,
oh. You're one of those.
Yeah,
one of those
exactly.
People.
So you are the worst person on earth. Oh,
yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it just takes exposure and educating these people. And advocacy. So speaking of that, what exactly do you do with Blood Origins? How long have you been with that organization?
So I met Mark. Well, I started following the Instagram account. That's where everything starts. It's on Instagram.
Nowadays, right? 100%.
Yeah. So I started following, and I'd often share their posts, whatever Mark would put out. I just found it all really interesting. And I listened to like my top two podcasts that I would listen to back in like 22, 23 was the Silver Core podcast and the Hunter Conservationist podcast. So it'd often
very
be
good podcasts.
Yeah. I've learned so much from both of them. And then, so Mark had me on his show on the Our Stories Connect Us All series as a guest, talking about my business and then also talking about hunting. And at that point, I didn't have my licenses. And so it was all just in process and it was all really new. And then after I got my licenses and was learning more about the budget for conservation in BC and how it's like shrinking, it's been shrinking for the past 30 years.
Okay.
I decided to go talk to my MLA about that. She knows nothing about that. Like I know next to nothing, but she had no idea about anything. So I was like, I don't know if that did anything to go talk to her.
Yeah.
But I just figured I would, what's the worst that could happen? And she's just down the road for me. So it was an experience. I just wanted to see what it was like. And often like Jesse Zeman here with the BCWF, the BC Wildlife Federation, he's always advocating and asking and encouraging just regular folks like me, go talk to your MLA about the budget for conservation and just make sure that they know that this is something that is important to you as one of their constituents. So I did. And so Mark saw that I went to talk to my MLA, which is, what I am trying to get more people to do is just engage a little bit on a political level. Like you don't have to go.
Fully agree.
You don't have to go to crazy, Parliament.
Just have communication.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, somewhat or just being aware of what's going on and like just care about what's happening because things are changing really fast. And I figured at that time, like, hey, I just got to this party and I wanted to keep going because things are changing so rapidly in the opposite direction that I want them to. So at least I can say I tried or I did something to stand up for this interest that I have and this a part of Canada's history, really, that I want to stay alive. If people want to go hunt and are doing all the right things, then we should have the right to do that. And
100%.
We just shouldn't be side-eyed for it or have that right taken away because it is part of our history.
It's so important for so many reasons, like economically, the ecosystem conservation.
Yeah, it just makes sense on so many levels. Like, but even last week, I went to visit a friend that I haven't seen in many years, and she just told me straight up, I don't like that you are into hunting and I don't agree with it. And so I was like, okay, well, I think as a meat eater, it's important for me to know where my food comes from. And being a hunter is the antithesis of that. And I've taken the responsibility myself to do all of the work, to do the research, to make sure that I'm, producing an ethical shot.
Yeah.
And all of the things. And I think it's the best way to eat. So she didn't agree.
100%. Okay.
She wasn't interested in continuing the conversation. So she's made up her mind about it.
Yeah.
So we changed the subject and talked about something else.
That's it. Like at least you went in and tried and you can kind of gauge if they're, open to learning more, maybe changing their mind. And if not, then pushing it is not going to help.
No. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I felt like. Like, okay, she's pretty stuck in her belief at this point. So
for now. Yeah.
Yeah. I won't offer to bring her some deer pepperoni or bear sausage.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. Maybe next time.
For now. Exactly.
Yeah. Things can change. Like I've had some good conversations too about people being very anti-trophy hunting because that's everyone's like, oh yeah, I know I don't mind hunting as long as it's not trophy hunting. And I'm like,
I hear that.
Well, tell me more about what you think about trophy hunting. And then they can't even really tell you, right? They're just like, oh, well, it's just bad, right?
It's like they've just been conditioned to say that because even people that I'm like, you're a diehard hunter. And I'll have them comment like, you know what? I don't have an issue with hunting. I have an issue with trophy hunting. But why?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
Or do you just think you have to say that?
Right. And like, I don't think that means what you think it means.
That's it.
Yeah. I think trophy hunting is actually great. Like you're taking an older animal. It's already spread its seed. It's had its time in the sun.
The one that can no longer contribute to the herd effectively. And sometimes they're even, dragging the herd down.
Yeah. And you're letting the younger guys do their thing. Probably this animal is going to get eaten somewhere and have a prolonged death somewhere, or,
That's it.
It'll die from cold or exposure, or
they're not going to die quick and peacefully. It's
no.
most likely going to be, a suffering death, which is horrible. I don't want to think of any animal having to go through that.
Yeah, and in Africa and things like that, where they say, oh, bad trophy hunting, well, those animals actually feed whole villages.
Exactly.
And contribute to their economy in huge ways.
100%.
So when I think about trophy hunting now, because I would say the same thing a few years ago, because I just was uneducated. I didn't know all of those, deeper layers to it. But now I'm like, I think it's great. It's like the best. Like nobody's killing something and just taking the horns and then leaving the rest of the meat. Like that's poaching.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's what a lot of the anti-trophy hunting people think it is, or if really we just need to have, more advocacy and education out there about it so that people know exactly what they're talking about when they say trophy hunting.
And that's what my friend said. She's like, I had no idea about any of that. I just thought trophy hunting to me was just shooting the animal, taking the horns or the antlers and leaving the rest of it. I'm like, nobody does that. That's not allowed. And that is horrible. Like, I agree with you that is bad. And I don't like that either. But that's not when I think of trophy hunting, that's not that. So
yeah, now that you know exactly, like once you think about it, you don't see it as, some nefarious thing that people are doing.
Yeah.
So after discussing with your MLA, like your concerns, is that whenever I met Mark at the parliamentary day in Ottawa,
he came out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that when he reached out to you to sort of say like, hey, we could use your help?
Yeah, so I think I went and spoke to my MLA in June, and then it was a few weeks later that he reached out because he'd had me on the show again.
Okay.
And then he reached out and said, hey, do you want to join the team? It's right now it's a team of one. It's me. He thought that I would be a good fit working with him and hopefully getting people more engaged. And so now I'm doing a lot of the podcasting, sitting on the other side of where I was, now interviewing people, sort of similar to the conversation we're having now, just hearing people's stories. So now I'm running the Our Stories Connect Us All podcast. Yeah, and then doing the Around Canada podcast with him. Normally he would do that on his own and sort of give people an update about what's happening around the country in terms of hunting and conservation, just nailing out like half a dozen highlights. I think that goes out, I can't remember if it's every 2 weeks or 4 weeks. I think it's once a month.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm then just chatting, sort of staying in the loop with Robbie Kruger, who he founded Blood Origins 7 or 8 years ago. So he's a South African guy, but he lives in America. He travels all over the world advocating for conservation and really just lately he's been doing a lot of films, a lot of documentaries about highlighting certain things. Lionheart is a documentary that he got put together about hound hunting and just educating about what that looks like and what that means, and highlighting a few different families that do that, their contribution to conservation through hound hunting and cougar hunting. So just beautifully done documentaries. So
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah. There's another one, Wire and Water is one out of Africa.
Okay.
And just talking about how fencing these different parts of the reserve, I can't remember where in Africa it is, but how basically these guys are contributing to conservation through hunting.
Okay.
And what that money does to the local villages and their local economy, and how it's benefited the ecosystem there and bringing in biodiversity. So, and now Robbie was just in India making a film about the human and tiger conflict. So just really exposing a lot of these like big ticket items that are in the news and can easily be skewed in the media. So just bringing out the truth. We're all about telling the truth about what's happening. Mark and I focusing on Canada, and then Robbie is everywhere. But there's a Blood Origins Australia, and now India and Canada and Blood Origins in the States.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are everywhere. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's really neat. It is like I definitely have like imposter syndrome every day. So I'm like, what do I don't know, hardly anything. Like I was just volunteering at the Wild Sheep Show and met a lot of people that I talk to on Instagram or that I follow. And
Okay.
they're like, oh, you guys are doing great things. I'm like, thanks. You know, I know I'm so green, but I'm having a blast and really thankful to be in this position. So it's been
Yeah,
good.
and I mean, like from what I know and just talking to you now, like I do really think like you're a very, very, very good person for what you're doing because you guys are making. I mean, the organization's not very old in Canada, right?
No, I think Mark only came on in 22, I think.
I was gonna say I thought it was maybe 5 years, but maybe less. Like
21 or 22. Yeah.
already like getting a big name out there and just really making a good impact. And I see
Hmm.
all of the posts that are shared and, you know, a lot of the videos that are shared, and it's all very educational, very easy to absorb, like really
Hmm.
focusing on educating the general public as well as hunters.
Yeah. I like Mark he blows my mind at how much he knows about stuff. And just the connections he has. We have a great graphic designer that puts all of these graphics together. So
Okay.
yeah, the caliber quality of people involved with Blood Origins Canada is just they're all top notch. So
Amazing. Yeah.
Darren, who does a lot of our he lets us use his photos and we'll share his stuff. Like yeah, lots of great people in the industry.
And you make a lot of really good connections, and
Hmm.
I mean I'm sure like even like myself, I'm very new in the firearms industry, so I'm constantly learning like every single day.
Hmm.
So I'm sure like yeah, as issues come up, you're just constantly expanding your knowledge, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's a nice position to be in.
yeah, it's been really, really interesting. Um, yeah, we'll see what this next year holds with our government that's not governmenting at the moment, but
I
maybe that
know.
will change. Maybe that will change in a few weeks. Maybe that will change in a few months. Nobody
Sooner or
knows.
later it'll change. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
Hmm.
There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Canada, North America, everywhere right now.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot. Like
It is.
just looking at the Instagram feed and just putting it down, you're like, whoa, there's so much happening,
I
you know, on
know.
every level if it's just in your local community or your province or your country or a continent. There's just a lot going on.
That's it. I mean, like before I came on here, I had rushed back from a township meeting where we were talking with the township because there's a few, you know, unhappy neighbors that would love to see us shut down. And I'm just
Mm,
like, man, like the way this government's going, they're going to shut us down before the neighbors do. So like, can we just, can we just give us a break for a little bit?
yeah.
But
Shoot.
yeah, it's everywhere. It absolutely is.
Hmm.
Okay. So we are, you know, kind of coming to the end. So is there anything else that you'd like to share? And if not, definitely need to know where people can find you
I haven't told you about my
socials or
hunt
whatever.
yet.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God, please.
Yeah, I got a mule deer this November. A friend of mine moved from Chilliwack. She's one of my farmer friends. She moved to Chilliwack from Chilliwack to like 100 Mile area, which is about a 7-8 hour drive away. Jeb and I had been mule deer hunting in October. Didn't see anything. No mule deer anyway, besides
Okay.
some sign. But and then yeah, my friend invited me up to her property that she's leasing. She's got like 26 acres up there that backs onto crown land. She's like, we got tons of whitetail up
Oh my
here.
God.
But it was a mule deer that Isaac was with me because we homeschool. So he's wherever I go, he goes.
Good.
So we had just settled down this for our second night in this stand. She has a couple stands on the property. So she told me where I could set up. We'd gone up early in the morning to the tree stand and saw nothing, and then wandered around all day and figured, well, this is our last night here. The first night we saw nothing. And of course, she would tell me later when I came back to the house, oh, there was some, you know, at this corner of the field or over there. And
Of
then,
course.
so yeah, we had set up on the ground in this field in the stand and, or in a blind, I should say. And I figured we'd be there for like 2 hours until the sun goes fully down. And about 15 minutes into our sit, Isaac says, "Buck." And I look over, and across the field, like really close, like less than 100 yards away, maybe 70, 80 yards, is this mule deer buck. And he's looking right at us. I didn't know if he could see us or not, but obviously he could hear us because his ears were open and he was alert. He's trying to figure out where that sound came from that he heard. So we both were just stock still. And I had my rifle leaning up against the wall. So I carefully, slowly got it. I was like, I kept thinking like, he's going to run. He's going to run. Then this will be the story. Like we saw one and then he ran away. The end.
Yeah.
But I was able to get the rifle up, and Isaac was just sort of whispering out of the side of his mouth, like, slowly, slowly. And I was like, I can't get him in my crosshairs. I was so nervous. My heart, like, I'm sure that his ears, I'm sure he can hear my heart just pounding. But I was able to get him in my scope, and I told Isaac, plug your ears. So he plugged his ears, and I just slowly squeezed that trigger as I exhaled, and fortunately he kind of lurched forward and took a few steps and he fell. So I was just that's fantastic. It was just such a surreal moment when sort of everything comes together, and he didn't run away. He didn't bolt after I shot him. He just pretty much fell. And so we waited for 10 minutes because I was really sure. I was confident that he was gone. And we were so excited. So then we came up on him, and Isaac was just so excited. He was like, whoa, he's bigger than I thought he was. And just to be able to touch him and see him, and like, cause Isaac has watched me, go through all the paces as well, right? Of going for my courses and learning about different things. And, so it was just a really neat moment to share with him. And then, I was like, how am I going to get this out of the woods into, because it was right parallel to a field where I could bring my forerunner down into the field. And then I thought I can hitch up his antlers to a rope and I can pull him to the barn. So eventually that's what we did. My friend's husband was away and she had a broken wrist, but the two of us and her 14-year-old sister, who's taller than me, the three of us gals, we hauled the deer out, and then I was able to get the antlers around with a rope and then slowly drag him up to where the barn is. And she's a butcher, so she had a gambrel, handy. She had knives, and she knew what she was doing. So she was only one-handed, but she was able to guide me through the process to take the guts out. And I ended up shooting out the bottom of his heart. So, but we did, that's always the first thing too, with any animal that we've taken. If we eat their heart first, I think that's pretty common.
Yeah, absolutely.
So once I had that all cleaned up, they never had heart before, even though she's a butcher, they they hadn't eaten it. So
didn't think of it.
Yeah. So fried that up with some garlic and butter and salt, and we all loved it.
It's such a good part of the harvest. Absolutely. Like, it's just delicious.
Yeah.
It's definitely a special type of meat.
It should be everywhere. If you kill a cow, that heart should be right next to the ground beef, I guess. But
yeah, we should see more heart in the grocery stores and supermarkets or whatever. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know where the organ meat goes on our commercial animals, but
yeah, I know some like dog and cat foods will use organ meat, so I don't know if it goes there, but
right.
I mean, it'd be really nice if it could go for human consumption also, because that is something that it's so nutritious. People should have more access to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe that'll encourage more people to get into hunting.
Yeah, for the heart. For all of those offcuts.
For the liver and hearts.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so we quartered that animal and then I skinned it. So that hide is also in my freezer. So I have two really nice hides I need to deal with like soon. I'm just not sure what to do with them.
It's so hard. Like if you try and do it yourself, it's so time consuming and you need space. And
I'm just worried about messing it up and then ruining these beautiful hides. So that'd be too sad. I recently got 6 meat rabbits that I dispatched myself for the sole purpose of getting the meat and then just having the practice, I guess, with the hides.
Smart.
So we haven't done that yet, but that's next on our homeschool list as well, to learn how to tan these rabbit hides. So,
oh, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, actually. It's
yeah.
going
So
to be
I
a
figured,
really, really good experience.
we could go tromping out in the woods all day long after driving for 5 hours to where the bunnies are, or I could just buy them from a farmer and dispatch them myself. And then, so that was our homeschool day. One day was doing that whole process. And Isaac did one rabbit all himself, and fleshed out the face as well. So he was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that can be very challenging, especially to like poke through any little sensitive areas.
Yeah. Well, it's just so finicky with around the eyes and the mouth and getting the ears out. But yeah, did a really good job.
100%. I mean, I've practiced on like raccoon plenty of times. And I'm just like, the head's always just, you got to slow down and really, really focus.
I think I got the bear pretty good. I did the bear face. I think I got the face pretty good. So we'll see. We'll see when I finally get it to a tanner. But
yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if there's any local, taxidermists or tanners or.
Baseball this year has just blown our budget. So then there's the cost, because like
that's true.
Definitely
it's really expensive.
It's worth to get it done professionally, but they obviously need to make a living as well. So it costs money. All this stuff costs money, but
it does.
We did my mule deer, all of us ourselves. So we had all the meat upstairs on the kitchen table, and we're just Beautiful. cutting. We did some bunch of ground. I'm going to make a deer pot pie tonight.
That sounds great.
That's on the menu for tonight. I've taken out some meat for dinner, and the kids are getting more used to it now. Like eating, they're just like, so what is in this tonight? Is this beef? Is this bear? Is this deer? You never know. Some of my friends they don't trust me so much because I really like beef tongue. So whenever I get a side of beef, I always get that cut as well. And that's just too weird for some of my friends. So they're like, don't have me over one time I had a bunch of our friends over, and I didn't tell them that I made tongue tacos. They just thought it was pork for a bit until they were like, what is this meat? It's a little different texture. So I was like, well, it is beef tongue. And they were like, well, I'm done eating.
Oh, no.
But I hope that one day that they'll come around to appreciating.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe you just have I just love trying any different things. So maybe you just need to, have that will to try the weird stuff.
I think so. It's just so out of the norm for people in my sphere of influence. So yeah, I'm just the weirdo, but that's okay.
Me too. A lot of people, I think, no matter where you live, are just, chicken, pork, beef. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all. It comes from the grocery store. Anything else is just odd, which should not be the case. We're so far removed from our food.
Yeah, and they don't even see it. But then again, I didn't either until I did. So hopefully those people will wake up.
It just takes time.
And then go get their licenses and go hunting.
Exactly. Get involved, join the fight.
Stay
aware.
Yeah, we haven't joined a range over here yet just because the closest one is like an hour away. I guess Coquitlam is closer, but it's really busy. It's just the city. It's in the city, the range, just sort of on the outskirts. But I would like to join a range and become part of a community. It's just, again, it's all just time. So
yeah, it takes time, it takes money, and time is hard to come by whenever you have so much other stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's good.
Where can people find you on social media? And your work with Blood Origins.
Mm-hmm. So our handle of Blood Origins is at Blood Origins Canada. And then there's Blood Origins as well. My handle has recently changed to The Housewife Who Hunts, with a period behind each word. It was my name for the longest time. And I've been thinking, since I closed my business, I'm like, I want another business, but, I'm homeschooling my kid, and I've got 3 others that require a lot of, kids are just busy, and teenagers require a lot of you just in a different way as to babies. But so I don't feel like I can get a job out of the side of the home. So I'm just trying to get my my groove going with The Housewife Who Hunts. I have a YouTube channel, but nothing's up there yet. I thought about creating a podcast, but it's all just time. Like we were saying,
Yes.
it all takes time. And then just the guts to, like you've done here, to learn and then to press record and start doing it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, and if you're a busy mom with multiple teenage kids, it's also finding the time. And yeah. Well, I will be sure to link everything below, your YouTube, your Instagram, and blood origins information there. So if anybody wants to find you, they can just take a look in the comments or the description area, and you'll be there.
I'll be there. I'm on Instagram way too much, but I just find it so fun.
Yeah. And it's a great way to stay informed. And, you as a mom sharing things, what you're doing in life, that's just going to inspire more people to get involved and do stuff. So I think it's a really good thing.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jen, for having me on your show. It's great to be a horrible person.
So much. Yes. The worst, obviously. Clearly. All right. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.